Welcome to the SubHub podcast. I'm MK Sullivan.
And I'm Danny Moreno. And today we are very excited to have Sara Alonso, a young Spanish star who burst onto the trail running scene in 2021. Last year, she was third at Zegama and followed that up with a first place at Mont Blanc Marathon. She then went on to earn top 10 finishes at Sierras and Pikes Peak, which then earned her an overall podium finish in the Golden Trail World Series standings in 2022. Welcome, Sara.
No, thank you.
How are you, Sara? I know that this last couple months has been a bit difficult. You've been injured, but how is the rest of life right now?
I'm happy. Thanks to last year, I have signed with Asics a professional contract. So I have to be happy with this. Also, I finished my university last year, so it's nice to have finished it. And now the sun is coming back and I can't run, but I am riding the bike, and at least I like it. And it's nice to do outdoor sport, because some of injured people have to be like without exercising, and that's that I can do other sports. I am happy.
Yeah, I've been seeing on Instagram that you've been ripping around on your bike pretty much all of the last couple months.
Yes. I would like to run, but if it's not possible, I really like the sport. So whatever is nice to disconnect and do in the mountains.
Yeah. Had you done much biking before this last year? Because it looks like you did some road cycling, and then it looks like you're dabbling in mountain bike and maybe gravel as well.
I never biked before. I went just to the university to move, but never like training. Like some years ago when I started running, you should do more volume in the bike, but I didn't do it. And now I really like it, and I know when the injury passed, I will follow training in the bike.
I'm impressed because I've tried mountain biking a couple times. I can do road and gravel pretty well, but mountain biking just scares the crap out of me. But it does not surprise me that you're not scared of it, because I've seen you run downhill and you have like no fear.
I also fall in the mountain biking, but it's like the trail running, but a little bit more scary.
Yeah. Mountain biking is not for me.
I've heard it translates really well to trail running, though, because you're finding a line similarly on the downhills and stuff. So, Sara, I am not surprised that you're picking it up so quickly with how fearless you are on the downhills.
Yes.
For sure. So last year was an insane year for you. Like, I know that 2021 was kind of the first year that you like came onto the scene and made like big enough results that people were like really looking at you. But last year, like third at Zegama, first at Marathon du Mont Blanc, crusher of a year, like on the Golden Trail Series. Tell us what changed? Like, was it a mental change? Was it a training change? What happened to like produce this amazing year for you?
I started trail running like 2-3 years ago. So until last year, I lived in a really flat city. So my training was like similar when I was a road runner. So last year when I moved to Gran Canaria and after to Basque Country, I started training a lot more in the mountains. And so I was really motivated. And when you do a good race, then you are more motivated to follow training. So I started like in Gran Canaria winning the race. And after it was like Zegama, my Basque Country race. And I trained a lot in the place. So for me, helped a lot knowing the course track. So after being third, I was like, oh, now all the emotions. And I went then to Mont Blanc Marathon and I win. After the season was quite not as amazing as the beginning, but yes, the more change that I did is like I start training in the mountains. And before I was like training a lot in the road because I haven't there the mountains or the inclination. So yes.
Yeah, it was incredible to see you start your year with Trans Gran Canaria. That field was very impressive. To me, that's kind of becoming the season opener or like an early season big race for kind of this sub ultra distance in that marathon, because you beat a field that had Elsie Davis, who is a British trail runner, but she also has a very fast road PR. I think it's like low 230s. It had Tony McCann, who's based out of South Africa, and she's one of my now new Terex teammates, and she's known for being incredible on the downhill. And Sara just motored from the start, and watching you on that video was just so exciting because you're just fearless navigating that. It's mostly a downhill course, so it's like a good way to get those downhill legs firing. So yeah, it was really cool to see you win that. And then Zegama, how was that? I mean, I know that's pretty much where you grew up or near your hometown, right? So how was it to get a podium there?
It was like really excited moment. All my family and friends were there. And also during the course, there is a lot of big fan zones, environment. So it's my best memories of the trail running season of my life. Better than winning of Mont Blanc. For me was being third in Zegama. Also because I was like really close to Mau de Matisse, and I never think that I can be as close to Mau in my life.
I absolutely love that picture of I think it's your parents like grabbing you from the sidelines of the finish shoot, and you're like crying and they're so happy. And every time I see that picture, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. Like to like run this race, like basically in your backyard. You were telling us offline that before the race, because it was only an hour from your hometown, that you were able to get on the course like a ton, which I'm sure is why you had so much success there, because both Maud has run it before, but that was Ninka's first time. And so like just to have course knowledge is a huge advantage, as you know now. So
yes, now I am like a little bit sad because it's like in 2 weeks is the Gamma and I will be there like saying the course, but it's like I can't run, and it's like I need to go, but it's painful being there and I can't run.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll be back there next year.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, before we dive more into kind of the current state and where you are at right now, I just want to say one final thing is like Sara says the rest of the year didn't quite equate to that beginning season, but you finished third overall in the Golden Trail World Series. And I just want to say, like, I was so happy for you because me and Sara kind of had like a cool battle in 2021 going back and forth. And I knew that was one of your goals going into 2022. And so when all was said and done and you finished the year, how did that feel? I mean, you were on the podium with Nike and Sophia.
Yes. After being like all the year in the podium, then I went to America and I get injured, and I was like, in 1 month is the final. I have been in the podium during all the season, and I was like really close to not be able to run in the final, and I was really sad. But after I can go to the final, it was hard, and you were there, and I remember the battle in the second day, and I was remember the same in the Hierro. And finally, I was really sad that you can't continue it. I'm sorry. But it was a strategy. For me, it was like, I know that I will not be in the podium any day, but if I finish all the races in top 10, top 5, I will be able to maintain my position after all the year. So I run every day. Some of the athletes run 3 days or 4. And I finished all the races and with pretty good result. So I was really happy that my goal in the season was doing the Golden Trail Series. and I did a podium there. And I would like to repeat this year, but it will not be possible, neither to run any race. So.
And Sara says she got injured before the final. If you guys have not seen the video from the Flagstaff Sky Peaks, Sara was motoring downhill as she always does, and she fell and took a massive chunk out of her leg, not just like a scratch, like a puncture wound that's pretty large. So she wasn't able to like train a ton leading into the final. And then she still went and podiumed with this like huge chunk out of her leg. So she's tough as all get out. And also just a reminder that the last two races of the series prior to the final were at altitude, and Sara is from Spain. So like she's still, oh, look at that scar. For those of you on YouTube, she's showing us the scar.
This is for Flagstaff.
Oh my gosh.
A good tattoo memory.
But Sara comes from Spain and she's still crushed at these altitude races. Like, so she's being very humble.
In America, this year, for example, before getting injured, I was planning my calendar and I was like, going to America, it's so funny, but I will not going to go this year because the races are really fast and in really high altitude. So this year in my calendar of the Golden, the America races were not in them.
You're not going to come out to Mammoth?
I want it, but not for the races.
Yeah. So, oh, sorry, go Danny.
I was just going to say a lot of times those kind of fire roads are more scary than the actual really technical downhills because at least for on the women's side, like on those fire roads, a lot of the women can run like 5:10, 5:20, 5:30 pace down those. So if you fall, it hurts that much harder. Whereas the technical downhill, you're going a little bit slower here and there.
Yes, exactly.
So you finished the Golden Trail World Series, and then kind of just walk us through what happened in the following months there.
After that, I finished my contract with Salomon. I started with Asics, and 1 month after the final, like I start running again, like after 2 weeks of rest. And the second week or like this, I start feeling a pain in my hip. The next day, I was not able to run like 100 meters, and I was like, something is happening. I went to the physio, and he was like, this is like overtraining. And I was like, I never go to the physio. It's painful. It's really painful. Like Flagstaff fall. It was similar, and I was like, I have suspect of a stress fracture because also for my years of young that I lost my period, my bone density isn't good. So from my bone density for being 8 years running, I was like, this kind of pain, I think can be a stress fracture. So I don't lost my time. I went to a doctor, I take my MRI, and it was a stress fracture in my pubis. And it was December 15. It was like the less time for a normal person is like 2 months. So after 2 months I went. 1 month later I went again, and now it's like 4 months and a half. I am not running from December. Also, my bone is not as good as a normal bone because my density is not amazing. So it's taking longer than I was thinking. But now at least it's closed and the edema is going down, but it's like a lot of time is passed. I am not running for the moment. So maybe the next month I am running again, but after 5 months, it will take too many times to come back to the competition. So if this year I can compete in a Spanish race like Ultra Pirineu from Spartan or Gorbella for sky running like in the Basque Country in Catalonia in November, it will be nice. But I can't imagine myself running like in the Golden Trail Series this year. So it's hard because now I sign a contract like a professional athlete. So my my job is running and I can't do it. And also I didn't run any race with my new brand. So it's like I feel bad they didn't put me a pressure or anything, but for myself it's like I would like to do it. And also seeing everybody running is also hard, but I at least I am enjoying in the bike more than I was thinking, because after getting injured I never ride. So bueno, I discover a new hobbies, but I would like to come back to the races. But I think if this year in the finish of the year I can, it's like a present for me.
Yeah, I'm sure that this has been like an incredibly difficult time. None of us like to be hurt, and especially to be out for this month at this point, 4 months. But I feel like you have handled it pretty well so far. And I'm sure that like on the inside, it feels a lot worse. But yeah, I feel like you've been very open on social media about like all the process and like the MRIs and the fact that like you're still not better. But I just wanted to tell you that I think you're doing a really great job of like keeping it together, because it's really hard to do that when you're hurt. And I'm just wondering, like, when you come back to training, do you think that you're going to keep these like cross training methods in mixed in with running in order to like maybe keep this from happening again?
Of course, I know that when I come back to the running, it will be like twice running and 5 days biking. And also, yes, I tried at least in the social medias do as much as possible from the van. And also, when you are injured, you like to another injured people say what they think or whatever. For example, now I am injured, and I have also speak with Shayla that have been injured for a year, or with the Judith Wither. So I like to say my opinion or my view or my process for another people that is injured or have been injured or will be injured, to see it and see that it's not easy and it's frustrated, but that is normal and things happen.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to bring up Shayla as well, because I know you guys are friends. Shayla is another Spanish trail running star. And she was injured and then she came back and won OCC. And so I believe you're going to do great things after this, Sara. But my empathy is there 100%, because being injured is no fun. It's never easy. And especially when your focus is running, which it is right now, it just feels like there's a pressure. But it sounds like Asics is supporting you, which is nice.
Yes.
And so right now you're kind of like 4 months in. It's kind of the latest diagnosis or information that you've gotten back so far.
I will do a TAC, I don't know in English, tomography, something like this, because now in the MRI is like we will not see more good process, because now it's still good. So in 1 month I have the TAC that it will be really clear if it's time to start or not. So another month in my pocket for me.
And you were saying that you're hoping to see a new doctor sometime this week to kind of get a different opinion than what you've been getting so far?
Yes, next week I will know another opinion. Maybe I am running. We will see. Not in Zegama, but maybe 1 kilometer or 2.
Crossing my fingers for you. Yes. Starting a run walk trajectory here pretty soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Today my coach come to my home to do a walk of in the mountains. It's not funny going walking. I don't like. I like to run or nothing, but walk.
I totally get that. sometimes when you're out like and you have to hike and you're not able to run, you're just like, what is the point of this? It's so slow.
It's so slow, exactly.
But at least it's beautiful.
Yes, at least.
Oh, it looks like Danny broke up for a second. So you were with Solomon last year and you moved to Asics. Can you tell us a little bit about your decision behind that and why Asics?
Asics was a brand that was interested in me from the year 2021, but like I was thinking that in Salomon the medias was a lot of potential. I was like, I think I can do a good 2022. I will be in Salomon Spain like one more year, and after that I will try to do a bigger contract. So after a big year last year, I was waiting an answer from Salomon, but it wasn't come until really, really late. So I start moving contacts and I speak again with Asics. And I was like, I grow a lot, so I want a big contract. So I also like her brand, her road shoes, her trail running shoes, and also because they are a small family and they are growing a lot. So it was like I would like to be there, and they also know me from 2 years ago. So we speak again, and we put easy in a good conversation. So I say okay, and now I would like to run with them, but I can't.
Yeah. And when you say that they're like a small brand, do you mean like trail wise, like they're just getting started? So the trail team is pretty small?
Well, not small, but they are like a lot of athletes. Anyone like super big one or like this. And we are like 20, 30 in the team and we are growing. And it's like when there is a race, for example, the other day it was Istria by UTMB and everybody goes there with Lauren, that is the team manager, with a photographer like this. So Nuria Gil, that is my friend, she was in Asics. She was really happy. Also Andreu Simon. So I speak also with them like, how are you in the team? And it's a brand that I like. So it was easy.
Yeah, I think Danny and I can both relate to really enjoying the team aspect because Danny's on the Terex team and they've got, obviously they travel a lot together. And like I was just racing canyons this last weekend and a bunch of my craft teammates were there. And it's so cool to like mesh with your teammates in person.
Yes.
I know. Every time she goes to ask a question, she freezes up a little bit. So, there she is. Danny's back. You want to ask a question, Danny?
I just want to say like how happy I am for you, Sara, because you're just starting in trail running. And I know it can be scary to move brands kind of like earlier on in your career. And so, yeah, I'm just really happy that you ended up in a place that you're happy about too. Because in the end, I feel like happiness provides the most success and like ability to show up day in and day out.
Yes, I was a little bit scared that if I move like, oh, Sara have left Salomon or like this, but the people have taken it really well, and also my environment is really happy, so it's nice to it. And I also am really happy that you are going to Adidas T-Rex. You look like happy.
I am. Thank you.
So I don't want to you're injured. So we won't talk too much about plans for 2023 because you've kind of already said like maybe November you're hoping to run some local races, some big local races, mind you, but still stuff kind of in the Spain area. So I guess do we want to move on and start talking about Zegama? We brought Sara on to catch up with her, but also Zegama will be the weekend that we release this episode. And so we kind of want to go over that race with her because she was third last year. And as we've already talked about, an amazing performance. So let's kind of get started on that.
Yeah. Sara, can you kind of provide some insight to why Zegama is Zegama and why it's such a big race?
Okay. I'm from Basque Country and everybody was speaking about Zegama. Then I moved to university to Catalonia. And the week of Zegama, a lot of people went there. But before being a trail runner, I have to say that I never go there. But when the COVID times come, I start follow trail running in a videos, and I was like, wow, Zegama is big, eh? It's a big race in Basque Country. And I also start trail running for the videos of the Golden. And I was like, I don't know when in my life, but I would like to run there. The first year of Golden Trail Series for me and for you, it was in Zegama, and we went to Olla de Nuria. And I say, okay, the next year I have to go there. And after a years of COVID and whatever, or the weather was super nice, when I went to Zegama like on Tuesday, and Zegama was like really busy. It's a really, really small town, but the Basque people, when there is a sport event, is like really crazy, like in trail running, in bike, in football. So when the day started, it was like, wow, Zegama is too busy for the 42 kilometers of race. It was like a lot of people, and also I was the local there, and it's like all the time I was like, go Sara, go Sara. So it was like super nice to me hear this. And then is the typical Santo Espiritu that is a climb of like 3-4 minutes that is really crazy, that and you can hear nothing of nothing. When you finish the climb, you feel like your heart is too boom boom boom, but you can, and it's a silence, so it's like, wow, my heart is like, and before is you can't sound nothing, and after you arrive to the finish line and it's crazy of people like UTMB, but in the marathon distance. But for me, it was like for a French people winning UTMB. So for a Basque person, is the biggest race that you can imagine. And I also train a lot there because I finished my university there. And it's like the last 2-3 months, I was moving there every week to train in the race. So it was like really important for me because I think it's the race that I most work for it. So I did amazing performance, better than I can imagine before. And also the weather, the environment, it was perfect. So it's like my dream in my career is winning there sometime. This year, not. Maybe the next years, we will see. And if you ask anyone, it's like Zegama is Zegama because it's like the race is amazing. It is an amazing place. It's not Dolomites or Mont Blanc. The mountain is a normal mountain, but the special thing is the people and the environment that is there.
Yeah, if you guys have never seen any footage from Zegama, definitely go look up this climb that Sara's talking about, because they're like hiking and running up this hill, and it's just like a tunnel of people. Like they're on top of you, they're screaming in your ears. Like it's definitely a bucket list race for me because the environment just looks insane.
Yeah, to me, it looks similar to Boston Marathon, but imagine when you're turning down Boylston Street, but imagine all those people within 5 feet of you.
They can all touch you.
They can all touch you, which, they put out their hands and stuff like that. It's kind of just like a festival on a mountain. And also Zegama, since the Golden Trail World Series started, has always been the first stop of the series. And as they've been finessing this series, they've kept it so it's kind of like the big 3 in Europe for me. It's Zegama in Spain, Mont Blanc in France, and Sierras now in Switzerland. So if you are someone from Spain winning Zegama, it's a big deal. If you're from France, someone winning Mont Blanc, it's a big deal. If you're someone from Switzerland winning Sierras now, it's the same thing. And so those 3 continue to be in the series every single year because they're just amazing in that way. And so looking at the course itself, it's a little shorter than a marathon, has lots of climbing, I believe between 9,000 and 10,000 feet.
It's 42 kilometers and 2,700 elevation gain.
Okay, yeah, so just right around 9,000 feet for those of you who don't speak meters.
And Sara, you can confirm with me, but it kind of looks like the course has a little bit of everything. There's some technical parts, there's some more fast runnable parts, and then it seems that maybe there's a little bit of road too at the beginning and the end.
Yes, the first 7-8 kilometers is like you go up, but not with a lot of elevation. You can go really fast there. And after that is like 700 elevation gain, like in 9 kilometers. So it's still, you have to climb. And after that is like 3 kilometers downhill and you arrive to the middle of the course to Santo Espiritu, that is the half marathon there. And after there is a big climb until Aizcorri where everybody's like cheering you. And then there is like 2-3 kilometers like really technical part, like you can't run too well, and if it's raining, like sometimes in Zegama, that is normal in Basque, can be like really slippery there. Then it's like a small 500 meters downhill, but it's too like this. I don't know the name in English. Steep, like downhill.
Yeah.
And then is the 5 kilometers flat part, but it's not like a flat in the middle of a road. It's like with a rose, with a mat, but it's flat. And then is the last climb. And after that is like 12 kilometers downhill, really, really, really fast. So it's like 3 climbs, mountains, 5 kilometers really flat, 2 kilometers really technical, 1 really technical downhill, and then 12 really fast downhill. So yes, you can say that is, for me, it's not really technical. It's quite like Mont Blanc marathon, but in Zegama, the probabilities that it's raining can be a lot. And when it's raining, it's a race with a lot of mud and the technical parts, it's really slippery. I have seen these days the weather forecast and it doesn't look like it will be raining, but in Basque Country, the rain appear suddenly. So we will see if it's for example, in 2018, when Remy Bonnet win, it was like really muddy day. So the times there depends of the weather.
Yeah, anything could change in the next, I think we're a week and a half out now. So the weather's looking nice, but
yes,
even a little drizzle could make those technical parts kind of sketchy.
No, but I think it will be really muddy, because for being muddy, have to rain a lot during the days. Maybe it's slippery in the top, but I think it will be a fast race this year also.
Cool. And looking at the some of the people who are coming back this year. On the women's side, we have 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th from last year signed up. And on the men's side, we have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th returning. So neither race has, the men's race does not have Killian Jornet returning that we know of right now. And on the women's side, the top 3 are not returning this year. So Nienke, Maud, and Sara. So in my opinion, that kind of leaves the women's race like pretty wide open in terms of like how the podium's going to roll out. Whereas like the men's field is pretty much just as similar to last year minus Killian. So Danny, I don't know if you want to go through some of those guys and gals.
Let's start with the women. And obviously Sara is here to add some narration to a lot of these women since she knows many of them a little bit more personally, especially some of the Spanish and European women. So from returning from last year, we have Patricia Pineda. She was 4th last year behind Sara. She's currently sponsored by La Sportiva, was 12th at Sierra Now, and was 1st at the Lavaredo kind of 50K distance last year. Sara, do you remember like racing or seeing her at all last year?
Yes, Patricia Pinedo, I think maybe she is not coming because she's been injured during Sierra Final until now. She has been training and do one Spanish championship. So I don't think that this year she can repeat her 4th place. But she's a really fast girl. I see her until the kilometer 7. Then I didn't see her before. Then Fabiola was with me. So Patricia take Fabiola in the last 2 kilometers. So she was 5 in the race all the time. Really consistent in the climbs, in the downs. But I think this year she will not be there because she come from an injury and she's not recovered at 100%.
Gotcha.
Okay. So then the next in line would be Fabiola Conti, who got 5th last year. And obviously all these names, kind of like Sara's pointing out, like they're signed up right now, but we don't know who's going to scratch. So Fabiola was 6th at the World Championships last year in the short course. She was 3rd in the Istria 69 kilometer against Blondine and Anastina, which are 2 names that you'll hear later, but also total badasses in our sport. And so Fabiola was 5th last year. As of right now, there's nobody returning in front of her. So could be interesting.
Yes, the first year race of the season, the thing is that anybody knows in what performance is himself and the other, because you are training, but you don't know how is your performance in the moment, neither how your competitions are. Fabiola is really strong girl. The last year, she was all the time before me until the half of the race. And I think if the race have finished some kilometers before, she will be 4th because she was like pushing hard, but in the last 3 kilometers, she was like totally dying, and it was close that Nuria take her, but she really do amazing race because nobody know her before. And when the race start, I was like, I don't know who is this girl, but she's going really fast.
Yeah, that's such a good reminder. These races are long. And so Sara saying that, Fabiola fell off the last 3K, that could easily in a mountain race be 20 minutes. Whereas on the track, obviously that's closer to 10, 11 minutes. And so, yeah, it just takes some time with these longer mountain races. I'm just going to list the rest of the girls that are in the top 10 and we'll discuss those. And then we'll go into kind of like the other names. So Nuria, who Sara was just talking about, is a close friend of hers. She was 6th last year, Nuria Gil. She recently won Trans Gran Canaria, the 42K. This is the race that we were talking about earlier with Sara. That's kind of like, to me, the big first like global race for the sub ultra distance. She was 2nd at OCC last year, actually right in front of me. That was a tremendous performance for her. She was also fourth. So she followed up OCC with fourth at the World Champs in Thailand. And notably, she was also eighth at Sierra Now last year. Seventh place returning from last year is Therese Leboeuf. She was eighth at Mont Blanc. She's had multiple podiums at Jungfrau Marathon, which is a really big race in Switzerland. And she has multiple top tens at Dion Dixon's, which is typically a double that professionals do. It's like the week before Sierra Now. And then eighth returning from last year is Oyana Cortazar. She's won a handful of races in Spain last year. She was also sixth at Mont Blanc Marathon in 2022. Last year. And she's done well, gaining lots of top 10 performances in the Golden Trail World Series over the last couple of years. And then ninth returning is Marcela Vasanova. She's really known for her sky running, and she also has multiple top kind of like top 10 and also top 5 finishes at the Golden Trail World Series events.
Yes, that you say, Nuria Hill is my friend, is my assist in the team. And this year she's really strong. I was speaking with her and I was like, she always say like, I don't know, but I think she will be one of the podium girls. She have in this year, she win in Transgran Canaria in Patagonia and the Spanish Championship, and her performance is really good. And I'm sure that she will be in the podium. And then Marcela, I see her in Calamoro Sky Race the other day. She's in quite good performance. She finished second, but I imagine Blandine Lirondelle that will be in front of her. Blandine Lirondelle is really good girl in any distance. She have been top 5 in the French cross country, but then she can win CCC. So for me, my favorite will be Blandine and Dani Moreno and Nuria, of course. But then I can see in the podium maybe Caitlin, maybe Anastina. That Anastina in 2021 was really strong. Then last year she stopped for a stress fracture, but she's coming back. She do a good race the other day in Croatia with Fabiola. So yes, I think the podium is more open, but I'm for sure that Nuria and Blandine will be there.
Yeah, you're like reading our minds right now, Sara. So other names that are not returning from last year, but they are very significant names that we should mention, and Sara already mentioned a couple of them, are Caitlin Fielder, who was third at OCC in 2021. She was sixth overall in the Golden Trail World Series, second at Mont Blanc Marathon last year. Henriette Albin.
But Caitlin was there. She finished 11 last year.
Oh, right. She just wasn't in the top 10. So Caitlin finished right behind Courtney DeWalter last year. Henriette Albin was sixth at CCC last year. Blandine, who Sara was just talking about, she is the CCC reigning champ. She also won the Long Trail World Championship race at 80K, along with leading France to a gold there. She was fourth in the Golden Trail World Series in 2021 overall. And recently she was first in the Istria 69 kilometer. And like Sara said, she's been running French cross country like all winter and has been absolutely crushing it. So she can run just about any race. I think last year she was fourth or fifth, maybe fifth at Pikes Peak Ascent. So really good athlete. And then Anastina from Finland, she's an Asics athlete also. Second at World Champs behind Blandine last year and ahead of Fabiola in the long trail. And she recently placed second at Istria right behind Blandine. So yeah, this women's race is going to be wild.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I kind of messed up on that last one. So she was second behind Blondine at the World Champs, but most recently in Istria at the 69K, she was behind Blondine again and then ahead of Fabiola.
Oh, gotcha. I was going to say, I don't remember seeing Fabiola at World Champs, but so yeah, I think your top picks, Sara, are pretty similar to Danny and I's as well.
Bueno, I forgot that I have recent speak with Ollana Cortázar that she have win there. She have been in the podium like a year. She's local there. And she said me that she's really strong and she will be in the podium. She has tell me this. So Ollana Cortázar is a girl that is always in front. Oya de Nuria last 2 years ago, she was in the podium and she always do a good performance. And she really know the course. Like she have run there more than 5 times. So I think that we have taken account to Ollana Cortázar also.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. I kind of put as my like potential podium, Nuria and then Blondine and Caitlin, and then Ollana and Anestina are kind of like potentially mixed in there. I am kind of giving Nuria the edge on this just because Blondine's coming off of the longer 69K. But as we well know, Blondine is crazy at recovering. Last year, she did CCC, and then she followed that up with a top 10 at Pikes Peak. Maybe even a top 5.
I think she was 5th.
Yeah, incredible.
She was qualified with French in cross country, like in a half-minute race. So
yeah,
you don't know from Blondine.
Yeah, you can never count Blondine out for anything.
Yeah, can never count her out. And then Caitlin, maybe this is a little biased, but she was out of the top 10 last year and then came back and got second at Mont Blanc Marathon, which I just thought was an incredible turnaround. And so if she's coming into this race healthy, which I think she is, she'll be ready to go. And then similar to Sara with Ollana, my first Golden Trail race ever, which was Sara's too, I believe, was Ola de Nuria in Spain. And Ollana just shot off like a rocket behind Maud with Blondine. And I believe she ended up getting 3rd at that race, which was very stacked.
So I think she can be there.
Yeah. One last name I'll kind of just throw in there is Therese LaBeouf. I just was really impressed with her last year. I felt like she finished really strong at the Golden Trail in Madeira. And I saw her running downhill here and there after I got disqualified and was watching everybody. And she's just tremendous on technical downhill. So she'll definitely be up in the mix too. And then Marcella just happens to play the very well patient game. She also just like chips away and again, somehow just always gets into like that top 5, 6, 7 spots. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's kind of right behind that lead pack.
No, I see her in Calamorro the week before, and I think she's not in her best level now, but she can do a top 10 for sure.
Yeah. I remember when she passed me at Mont Blanc Marathon, she looked so good and it was so late in the race. And I was like, bye.
You started really fast in Mont Blanc.
Yeah.
I didn't know you and I was like, this girl is pushing really hard.
Yeah, that's a classic MK. So do we want to move on to the men's race? We've got our top 10 returners from last year are Davide Magnini, who was second at Zegama last year, second at Marathon du Mont Blanc in 2022 and 2021. And he has 2 top 5 finishes at Sierzanal. He's been really kind of dominant in the Golden Trail World Series. He kind of fell off at the end of last year. I don't know if he was injured or what, but he started off the season strong and then kind of fell off from there. 3rd place finisher, Manuel Marilis, first at OCC in 2022, second at Stranda Fjord 2022, and has won multiple Sky Running series. In 4th last year, El Hussein Al Azoui, fourth at Mont Blanc Marathon, and plenty of other top 10 finishes in Golden Trail Series races. Second overall in the 2022 standings. Robert Matayango was fifth last year. He was sixth overall in Golden Trail World Series. Thibaut Baronian, who is like a French superstar. Like, I remember being at Mont Blanc Marathon and everybody was like, oh, Thibaut. But he was third overall for Golden Trail last year. And of course, Remy Bonnet, who won the Golden Trail Series last year. He won Zegama in 2018 and then kind of had a couple of years where like he just didn't live up to that performance. But then last year obviously came back and knocked it out of the park. So those are our top 10 returners from last year. Sara, what's your take on those guys?
For me, I was just this morning speaking with my coach. It's like it will be a hard battle. I think the potentials will be Remy Bonnet, that he finished last year crushing it, and in this year in the Eskimo, nobody was with him. And I am sure that he will be really, really focusing, try to win again, because also he's super ambitious. So it's like, I think that if he come, it's for winning. Davide Magnini last year, he come from Eskimo like, I didn't do a lot of kilometers, and he crashed it, like he do the record of the race, but also Kirian. So I don't know, from Davide last year, with Manu Merias, I was speaking the other day in Calamorro, he didn't do a good race for the heat, but he's in a good performance, and he is a really good downhill runner, and the last 12 kilometers of the race is downhill. So we will see. But another names that I'm sure that will be there, Robert, last year he started running in trail running, a Kenyan boy that is super, super fast on road. In the first race in Zegama, you see him, and it's like in the technical part, he wasn't really good, but in the last races in Madeira, he was like totally a trail running runner. And this year in Transgran Canaria, he win like for 3 minutes, and he was like really, really easy. So for me, Robert can win the race for sure.
Yeah. And he's obviously been practicing his downhill running since Zegama last year.
Yes. And then Elohim last year, he do a really good performance. And then in the final, he was like top 3 every day. So amazing. And then Thibaut Baronian. And then there is another French boy that her name is a new one. Her name is Joik, and he will be really in front, I think, with Thibaut. And Thibaut is really motivated with the race and with the World Championship. So he's training a lot now. So it's difficult. But for me, if I have to say, Remy Bonnet and Robert Camboy will be there. And then Jonathan Albon, that I think that you are going to introduce him now, will be in the podium. For me, these 3 will be the potential winners.
Yeah, I think those are great choices. So yes, we do have some other names that weren't in the top 10 last year. Sara touched upon a couple of them. The first one is Bart. His last name is a little hard for me, but he's from Poland. Perdazowski, sorry, Bart. But he was third overall in 2021 at the Golden Trail World Series. He was injured most of last year, and so he is coming back. And Bart is kind of known for his explosive moves on the downhills. So he is someone else that likes to surge on the downhills, which I think is a really cool skill to have. So he'll be in the mix if he's in his top form, which he won the VK and kind of like the smaller race at Transgran Canaria earlier this year. So it looks like he's been working on his fitness, and he recently won a race that was more local as well. Jonathan Albon, his resume is insane. But more recently, he won He was third at Thailand in the short trail behind Stian and Francesco, who are both very well-known men in that distance. He also was second at CCC behind Petter when he did a historic run there. And Jonathan's time was also just kind of absurd. And he was first at Marathon Mont Blanc and Stranda Fjord last year for the Golden Trail World Series. And then we also have Francesco Pupi. I don't know if he actually just posted something on Instagram today, and it looks like he is running Zegama, but he has been dealing with an injury. He's been biking a lot, but he was second at World Champs last year, also in the short trail in Thailand. He was fifth at Pikes Peak for Golden Trail World Series, and he won the final race of Golden Trail in 2021. He didn't win the whole series, but that was a horrendous heat race in El Hierro. He won that. And he's also sixth at OCC in 2021. And then I listed Craig Hunt just because it's cool to see Americans sign up, but he's sponsored by Hoka, and he recently was first at Desert Rats, which is definitely a much different race than Zegama. But it looks like he's looking to do more European races because that would, what's it called? Means he has an entry to OCC.
And he also is on the US team this year for the short trail. So he was one of the top two at Formidable. And that dude has been racing like crazy this year. Like every 50K in the US, like Craig Hunt has been in it. So we'll see if he is at Zegama because it's only 3 weeks before World Champs, but maybe he's running it and then he's just staying out there.
Yeah.
Probably.
Petter Engel is also signed up, but I don't think he's racing.
No, finally he's not racing.
Cool. Yeah, the men's race is like kind of your like your classics from last year. And the women's race kind of is too, but there's a lot of like not new names, but people that weren't in it last year that I think have a really good chance of being on the podium.
100%. Yeah. The men's race, I would say it's kind of like a return of the champions sort of feeling. Whereas on the women's race, obviously all these women continue to improve. And so it's kind of their shot to win a crown. And I only say that because we do, you don't have Ninke, who historically has been up front. You don't have Maud, you don't have Sara, not the bigger, the women that had the bigger results last year. I believe Ali Mack isn't racing. She was originally signed up. And then Sophia Lockley also being in that top 5. She isn't racing. Sara, so did you already say who you were kind of thinking for the podium on the men's side?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that the podium will be Robert, Remy, and Jonathan Albon.
I was going to say the same thing, except I think mine would be Remy, Robert, and then Jonathan.
Oh, man, this is hard. I would say, I'm going to say Jonathan. I recently watched some of his YouTube videos, so I feel like I'm invested in his training plan. But him and Remy battling it up front. And then I would actually say Robert and Manuel, who Sara said, just if you could somehow see a video of Manuel Marias, he's the guy who won OCC last year running downhill.
It's terrifying.
It's terrifyingly beautiful.
Yeah.
He's floating. There's these crazy steps in Madeira, and they were taking videos of all the top 5, and everyone was making their way down, and it looked like his feet weren't even touching the steps. He was just climbing on the tops of those. It was so beautiful. Awesome. So Sara, are you going to be doing commentary for Zegama?
Not. I would like, but not. I will be there just cheering in nice Corrie where everybody is. And it will be I'm sad because seeing the entry list is maybe this year it was a year that I can win or not. But last year with Nienka Maude, it was really, really difficult. So it's sad, when I see that not Nienke, not Maude, not American girls like Ali, you, Sofia, it was it was a year, but not. But I think it will be a beautiful see Blandine versus Nuria because, for example, if Nienke is coming, it's like Nienke will win, and then there is the others. But now, seeing that the entry last is like, I am not sure who will win the race. And the same of the boys, that sometimes when Kilian is in the list, it's like, oh, Kilian will win. But now it's like, it's really open, and there is a lot of level in the boys, and it will be beautiful follow the race also from the other side.
Yeah, no, I totally feel the same. It's hard to sit on the sidelines. I think it'll still be an incredible race, and especially on the women's side, it'll, maybe bring out a new person to the spotlight that hasn't gotten that yet, which is also really nice to have that variety in there. Okay, question for both of you guys. Last year was the year of records. Kilian set a new course record after running that course, almost 10 times.
Yeah.
He sets a new course record. I personally feel that it was the competition. Davide was on his tail for that first half, which I'm sure helped push him along. But he ran 3:36:40. And then Nienke came off of Rotterdam Marathon, where she had set the new, it just recently got broken by Safan Hassan, but the then Netherlands national record in the marathon. So she came in with incredible shape. And she ended up running 4:16:43. And from what I could see, Sara, she just took off and was on her own the entire time. So she ran that from the front, pretty much start to finish. Do either of those records go down this year?
I think not.
I don't think so.
The boys record, it was crazy. The Kilian, it was like after 10 years, he broke the record. And also Davide, but this year maybe Davide is stronger. But if you don't have anyone before you for going to push harder, it will be really difficult. And in the girls, the record of Nienke is like totally crazy. That I think it will be like a years for broke the record of Nienke. So I don't think that the records will be broken.
Yeah, I agree with Sara. Because even Sara in third place was under record time, and Nienke still just smashed it. So I don't see anybody touching that. And there's not many people that can touch Kilian anyhow. So but I'm excited to watch, and hopefully all three of us are there next year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why you don't go to Zegama?
For me this year, it's just too close to world champs.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's close, yes.
But next year, that's definitely a race that's been on my list. So I'm hoping to do it next year.
Yeah, 100%. Next year will be even more legendary.
Yes.
Everyone who missed. I personally am not going because I'm getting married the next week, and I don't want to get divorced before I get married.
Yeah, I don't think that would make Mike very happy.
Yeah, no, he'd be fine, but just for my own self-happiness too.
Awesome. But we'll see you there next year, Sara. Thank you for joining us today. And the whole trail running community is rooting for you to get healthy. So I'm excited I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that doctor gives you another opinion and we see you run walking soon enough.
Thank you. I will follow you in the next races.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Well, thanks again for joining. This has been the Sub Hub Pod, brought to you by Free Trail.